Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the adoption of the Committee of Finance report on the indicative debt restructuring terms between the Republic of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance and participating creditor countries. Mr. Speaker, this report reveals the hole that the President Mahama administration in terms of economic management and governance inherited from the previous administration. A debt restructuring which has limited the power of the government of Ghana even to borrow. And Mr. Speaker, there are three types of debt. Those that we owe bilateral, those that are multilateral, and those that are commercial. Mr. Speaker, because of this debt restructuring, which is part of the ECF, the government of Ghana, under the previous administration again, agreed with the IMF. Ghana is constrained from borrowing or accessing credit in the international capital market. For this year, Ghana can only do $250 million US. Into 2026, $500 million US. And into 2027, when we are out of the IMF, some $1.5 billion. Mr. Speaker, in concluding, and I hope that our colleagues, this is what the Ken Ofori-Atta economists led Ghana to. Mr. Speaker, if you take 2.8 billion and you want to understand what John Dramani Mahama and his Minister of Finance, Kasla Tuforsen, have done, 2.8 billion at an exchange rate of 16 cedis would have given you some 44.8 billion. Today, the same amount at 10.3 or 4 cedis is 28 billion. This is how much prudent, disciplined economic management can do when we adopt this. So, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister for Finance is doing good. He needs the support of this House, but for developments in Iran and Israel, government, you made reference to external factors. Look at your budget of 2022, 2023. You said external rigidities. Honorable Oppong Nkrumah, remember, I have recording of your debate here. You made reference to external factors and external rigidities. Remind your leadership. So, Mr. Speaker, I speak in favor of the adoption of the report and to remind that if government takes prudent decisions that stabilizes the city, we can make enormous savings, because how much cedis you need to service debts at 2.8 billion yesterday will not be the same amount today, even though the amount is still $2.8 billion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister of State in charge of government communication.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to make this brief contribution. Mr. Speaker, no one on our side and in government has approbated and reprobated. Mr. Speaker, there are facts that we cannot run away from. The domestic debt exchange program, or if you like, the restructuring program, is far and away the harshest economic policy ever implemented in the history of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, the consequence of that was that a staggering 1.3 million Ghanaians were told overnight that the proceeds of bonds that they had bought in the hope that they were securing, I beg your pardon, their future and existence were not going to be paid for some time. And even if it was going to be paid, it was going to be paid at a rate much lower than what they agreed when they were buying the bonds. And that the tenor that they were given was going to be extended by significant years. Mr. Speaker, many of those who were affected this way were in the Ghanaian middle class. Overnight, they slammed into Pendream and they were gnashing their teeth. Mr. Speaker, the most important point, however, is that this was self-inflicted. The mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy began no sooner than when the MPP took over power in 2017. Mr. Speaker, by 2019, or if you like 2018, it had become apparent that they were mismanaging the economy. And you could tell so from the budget deficit, which gives an indication of whether there is prudence or there is mismanagement. By 2018, the budget deficits that they inherited had started going up. For 3 consecutive years, between 2018 and 2020, their budget deficit was higher than what they inherited. Mr. Speaker, by 2020, they thought that it was more prudent to borrow and spend money that we didn't have in order to win elections. By 2021, their sins had caught up with them, and we were heading for a crash. By the time they adopted the DDEP, Mr. Speaker, they had absolutely no option, because that was the only way that the IMF would touch us with the long pole. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, and finally, before I sit, Mr. Speaker, it is Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, who they touted as the best economist this side of the Sahara, who told us that the exchange rates is the biggest indicator of economic prudence. This was in the same lecture where he said the exchange rate will expose you if the fundamentals are weak. It is the duty of government to manage the exchange rate. So if you mismanage it and your currency crashes, and by that reason your debt balloons, it is your responsibility. You have incurred debt. The reverse has happened. We have managed the exchange rate well. So because of that, we have saved 150 billion Ghana cedis of our debt through enhanced foreign exchange liquidity. Mr. Speaker, between January and this month, close to $4 billion has accrued to this economy through gold exports. That is because now 80% of all small-scale gold that is mined in Ghana must be ceded to a government agency called the Gold Board, previously called the PMMC. That is what has enhanced forex liquidity on the market, because our exchange rate regime is defined by the same principles that we know to be demand and supply. There is adequate foreign exchange on the market. That is why the cedi is strong. So it was their fault that they incurred the debt. And we have done good by reducing the debt through prudent foreign exchange management. So, Mr. Speaker, we have not approbated, we have not reprobated. We have simply stated the facts when we say that the DDEP was their own doing. Nobody put a gun to their head to mismanage the Ghanaian economy. But what we can assure everybody in Ghana is that we will not tread the same paths that they worked on. We will learn lessons from what they have done, and we will manage this economy such that the gains that have been made will be sustained over the medium to long term. And finally, Mr. Speaker, nobody has said that global factors don't have an effect on an economy. They do. Since time immemorial, we all know that crude oil price increase on the world market affects the price at the pump. But it was not crude oil prices that resulted in the depreciation of the cedi. It was not crude oil prices that resulted in the DDEP. It was not crude oil prices that resulted in the humongous debt that led to the DDEP. Even as there is global crisis now, fuel price at the pump has reduced 8 times since the beginning of this year under this government. These are facts. So, Mr. Speaker, our friends on the other side should be mandate. Let them take responsibility for their mismanagement. I thank you very much.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for your superior guidance and ruling given in respect of this matter in the handling of an urgent bill. And your ruling is exactly what we're going to go by. On page 10, the bill has been already advertised in the order paper as though there's a prejudice that is going to be taken by urgency without recourse to the determination of the committee. And here indicates that notwithstanding the provision of Order 1721 of the standing orders, which requires that a bill be passed, has passed through the consideration stage, the third reading thereof shall not be taken until at least one sitting day has elapsed. The motion for the third reading of the Public Holidays and Commemorative Days Amendment Bill 2025 be moved today, even ahead of the committee meeting to make the determination, even ahead of the minister engaging the minority side, who stands ready to support the minister, as we have always demonstrated. We cannot oppose such a legislation, but it is not right that the minister does not even engage our side and then goes ahead, and then an urgent bill is advertised on the order paper, and as ranking member must say, we get to hear of it for the first time. However, when engagement is done, we will support the minister to go ahead. So I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that superior ruling. I thank you.
Honorable members, you are bringing informal practice. Those are informal, behind the scenes consultations. They are not captured by our standing orders. And then the order paper, as you all know, is usually a guide to the business that you take in the House. So sometimes they anticipate that you may get to this stage and make provision for it. If not, it means they have to do order paper addendum. And so that one we cannot be held by the provision of this to show that they've already done something that is not allowed by law. So let's proceed. Minister for Education.
May I speak?